Mark Thiessen, former chief White House speechwriter and for President George W. Bush, now an American Enterprise Institute senior fellow and Fox News contributor. Brooke Goldstein attended today's rally. She is founder and executive director of the Lawfare project, which provides legal services to protect the human rights of Jewish people worldwide. And Felipe Reyes was also at the rally today. He is a former State Department official. He worked with Hillary Clinton in the Senate and on the campaign trail, and we spoke with him a fair amount back during that part of his professional life. He also was with her when she was Secretary of State. So welcome to all of you. It's great to have all of you with us today.
Good to be with you.
You know, let me just start by looking at this op-ed that Felipe wrote, and I want to read it. And he says in it, you say in it, it is hard to explain how unnerved American Jews are right now. Our sense of security has given way to not understanding how we didn't realize so much anti-Semitism was right below the surface and where it was lurking. Our sense of security was grounded in knowing friend from foe. That has been upended. Felipe, you also say that you're scared for the first time and that puts you on a very different and unusual footing. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, it's a new feeling, and it's not a good one. You know, it's no surprise that Israel's enemies, whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, or others, not just now, but over the decades since its inception, have wanted to destroy Israel and kill Israelis, and sometimes often kill Jews writ large. But in America, in the United States, we've had just a very different feeling, a sense of security, a cloak of comfort that has allowed us to, I hate to say it, almost take for granted that maybe anti-Semitism was gone. I mean, even after Charlottesville, when you had people chanting, Jews will not replace us, I didn't really process, and it sounds ridiculous, as anti-Semitism. I just saw it as skinheads who hate everyone. In truth, they do hate everyone. But it's a very different feeling. And you heard the young lady at the rally saying that she's not going back to campus. That is terrible. That is terrible that she feels that way. But more importantly, it's terrible that her university has not taken steps, both the administrators and the faculty, to make her feel safe. And in some cases, they're making students feel even less safe.
So I want to stay with you for a moment. And this is a broad question, but I think it's an important one. How did we get here as a country? How did this happen, Felipe?
It is a good question, and it's $1 million question. I don't know. The comparison I would make is, you know, 1939, before World War II, before the Holocaust, there were 17 million Jews. Fast forward 84 years, there are still fewer Jews than there were then. That is very scary. And to bring it back to your question, you know, people didn't ignore warnings to leave Europe, to leave Poland, because there was an imminent Holocaust. It was slow and steady. It was almost, I hate to use the comparison, but the frog that you put in water and you slowly bring it to a boil, the frog doesn't know what's coming until it comes. And I think that's part of what I was saying about feeling unnerved and feeling so scared, is because these feel like, you know, these are telltales. These are signs that we can't just brush off as a one-off. And I think it's hard to know what's going on in this country, but it's been going on to some extent, you know, in a very narrow political sense, last 10, 12, 13 years. And it has become okay to not just disagree with people that you don't agree with, but to attack them, to accost them. And that's what we're seeing now, whether it's something as simple as tearing down kidnap posters, whether it is accosting students. It is hatred. There is a historical hatred, not just for Jews, but towards blacks, towards Latinos, towards gays, towards Asians, on and on and on. I think we're the first, but anyone who thinks that we're the last is wrong. And this hatred, I don't know how to get it back in the bottle. There probably is no getting it back in the bottle, but its expansion is going to lead to horrible, horrible things.
It's a frightening reality, Brooke, and you were at the rally today. Felipe was at the rally as well. What was it like to be there and to feel that unity? And what do you think about the response that it's getting from Capitol Hill? We saw Speaker Johnson was there. How meaningful were those visits, and do you think the voices were actually heard?
So, first of all, thank you for having me on. The feeling at the rally was really one of empowerment, and it's something that the Jewish community has needed because we fear for our lives. As the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors, I never thought I would see the day where in the United States of America, Jews are being beaten up by pro-terror, pro-Hamas supporters. I am getting calls, dozens of calls every week from students on campus who are being discriminated against, who are being harassed. Our clients at Cooper's Union, for example, were locked in a library as pro-Hamas protesters threatened them with violence, banging on the doors and the windows. And the message that the Jewish community is sending with this incredible rally, and over 200,000 people showed up, is that we are unified against terror. And we want to send the message not just to members of Congress, but also to the world who's used to seeing the pro-Hamas rallies on the street, that these are a minority. They're a loud, vocal, violent minority, but they are a minority, and the majority of Americans love peace and they're anti-terror. And that is also the big difference between the rally today and the pro-Hamas rallies. At the pro-Hamas rallies, they are violent, their chants are genocidal, and they're dangerous, and they are a threat to America. 200,000 people gathered peacefully today in Washington, D.C., and their message was one of love. It was pro-American, and obviously it was to bring the hostages home. And to your prior comment, how did we get here? Those of us in the counterterrorism community and in the Jewish advocacy world have been warning about this for the last 10 years. The radicalization happening on American college campuses through DEI departments, critical race theory, Middle Eastern studies departments that are being funded by states like Qatar, often unlawfully, with the sole purpose of radicalizing American youth, not just to be against Israel, but to be against America, to be against democracy, and to be pro-terror. This poses a national security threat, not just to the Jewish people, but to all Americans.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, both of you. Mark, your thoughts on what we're watching here, and again, on how we got here. I mean, you know, when I was growing up, it was clear that we were taught that anti-Semitism was a horrible thing. And we were taught about the Holocaust in school. We watched movies that were difficult to see. This was in my public school growing up. And there was really no ambiguity about that. And so I'm trying to figure out, you know, and it used to be that when people came to this country, they came here because they wanted to join the American dream. They wanted to be American. Yeah. And they kept with them bits of their culture from the places that they left, but they wanted to be in a place where people respected each other's faiths and freedoms. And I'm trying to figure out, as I asked the other two panelists, how did we get here, Mark? And can you put it back in the bottle, as Brooks asks?
Yeah, we're all trying to figure it out, and it's great to be back on with my old friend and sparring partner, Philippe. And let me say that Hillary Clinton has been a paragon of clarity on this issue. She's been wonderful in speaking out against Hamas and against ceasefires and all the rest of it. But I think one of the problems we have is, look, there's anti-Semitism across the political spectrum on the right and the left, but anti-Semitism on the right and anti-Semitism on the left are very different. Anti-Semitism on the right is a fringe phenomenon. Philippe mentioned the Charlottesville rally where people were chanting, "Jews will not replace us." Those were neo-Nazis. You don't see neo-Nazis marching at Harvard, right? The anti-Semitism we're seeing right now on the left is an elite phenomenon. It's happening on college campuses at some of our most elite universities. I mean, there was a scene the other day of the editor of the Harvard Law Review harassing a Jewish student, pushing him around, like those Palestinian kids were pushing around that little Jewish kid who was being held hostage. I mean, this is happening at our elite universities, and it also exists in the halls of Congress. You have Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, who are virulent anti-Semites, and they've been tolerated in the Democratic caucus for too long. So I think the Democratic Party needs to, I think a lot of people are waking up and seeing that there's this creeping anti-Semitism that is leached into the Democratic Party. And we all have to police our movements. I do my best as a commentator to police it on the right, to speak out against people when they say these things. But we really need our friends on the left and our friends in the Democratic Party to get to police their movement and start making these anti-Semites, because they give license to all these people on the college campuses to say it's okay to say from the river to the sea, and to say there's only one solution, and to say there's dual loyalty. We've all got to police our movements, and the left really needs to start policing theirs.
Just want to take a moment and listen to Pastor John Hagee, who is a very popular pastor across the country, and let's listen to just a few minutes of what he has to say.
And the leaders of Israel, may God give you the wisdom of Solomon, and the courage of King David, and the victories of Joshua. You, the leaders of Israel, and you alone, should determine how this war is going to be conducted and concluded. You decide, no one else. Israel has shown the world.
Philippe, I want to give you an opportunity to weigh in on that discussion about what has happened in this country, what has happened at our universities. And I'm not sure how well educated a lot of these young people are at some of our finest institutions. I know you went to Columbia and you speak about it in your editorial, but how much are they taught about the different perspectives of the different countries in the Middle East and where they're coming from, and about the cause of freedom and democracy that Israel has tried to uphold? Have they not been taught some of these things?
Well, I don't know, but you hit the nail on the head, and this is something I write about in my piece, which is, look, they're talking 17, 18, 19, 20-nothing-year-olds. You have to give them a little bit of leeway for not knowing what they say. Where there's a problem, which is similar to what Mark was saying about Toledo Rashid, is that once you know what a phrase like "from the river to the sea" means, don't repeat it. And when you do repeat it at that point, you can no longer claim ignorance. Now, I don't know where they're supposed to learn that, in grade school or high school, but as a young adult, once you do hear that and it's explained to you, then be quiet. And what's particularly concerning to me is not just the students, but the faculty and the administrators. I have been shocked by the number of faculty who have just gone well beyond the pale to make incendiary comments. And A, they should know better. B, they do know better and they say it anyway. C, they are supposed to be setting an example to the student body, and they know damn well that when they make these comments, these statements, these incendiary remarks, they are going to be mimicked and echoed by a young student community. So it's one thing to protest. You don't have to love Israel. You don't have to love Jews. But there's a difference between marching peacefully, which we're seeing, a very heartening and hopeful gathering of Democrats, Republicans, blacks, whites, young, old, famous, not famous. Difference between that and accosting and attacking people on campus. I don't know why in their upbringing it hasn't been instilled in them not to do that. But once you learn something, stop. Everyone can make a mistake. All four of us and everyone watching has made a mistake. But when you make the same mistake twice, you have to own it. And that's what they're not doing.
You know, I want to mention before I let you all go that I just spoke to a man who works on a project called Voices of Gaza, and he interviewed a lot of Gazans, and he spoke to them undercover so that they could speak freely. And to a person, they talked about how they want to get rid of Hamas, that they felt like they are imprisoned by Hamas. And I don't hear this from any of these young protesters. They're treating it like it's one thing. And these people are talking a lot like the women I've interviewed from Iran who say, that they have mandatory hijab, mandatory, attendance at religious services. They want to go to restaurants and live. They say, we want to be in Tel Aviv, but we can't leave Gaza. They won't let us leave. So I think that's another thing that, people really need to learn more about. I'm trying to learn more about that part of the sentiment as well.
So have I. I mean, it's not like I've known every bit of this. I've gone and read things in Wikipedia and the works.
Thank you very much to all of you. Philippe Reines, good to have you with us today. Interesting piece today. I encourage everybody to take a look at it. Mark Thiessen, always good to have you with us. Brooke Goldstein, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you,
all of you. I hope we can continue to speak about this as we move through this story. Thank you all. And there's the live shot of the National Mall.